Welcome everybody to the first match of Season 7 SBT. This is in the Conquerors Division where we just finished drafting and we have Riss versus Cheese for their first week matchup. They already jumped right into the match, so I'm kind of, lagging behind here, but I'll try to speed up so that they can so we can catch up to them. So Riss, he ended up bringing his Mega Swampert, his Politoed, Tornadus Therian, the Chimecho, which is really interesting, the Ferrothorn, and the Scyther. Cheese brought his Aegislash, Slowking, Nidoking, his Como, Leafeon, and the Mega Diancie. So let's see what they end up doing. Looks like Cheese led his Nidoking, while Riss ends up leading with his Rain. This is Politoed. So Cheese obviously wants to swap out here, doesn't want to take a Water move. He pivots out into the Slowking as Riss pivots out into his Tornadus, perhaps is predicting something like that. That absolutely took nothing from that Dark Pulse, but that was Cold Berry. We do get it Toxic on the Tornadus just to chip him down a little bit. Looks like Cheese is actually just going to stay in here, knowing that he can go for a Rain Boosted Scald, and he does get the burn on the Swampert, which is very unfortunate. So we do see a flip turn. So Riz obviously just pivoting out here. Cheese just going into his Leafeon. Leafeon, very good bring here in this match since Riz has Rain. And he goes into the Ferrothorn, probably just trying to get up some hazards. Cheese might think that it's okay to get up his own hazards or just set up on this thing in general. He could be going for a sub here, knowing that he's immune to Gyro Ball. But let's see what he does. He actually just goes for his own rocks, so it's very nice. Riss goes into the Chimecho, which is very interesting. He might have just tried to build this so that the Como doesn't sweep him. But let's see. Cheese looks like he just brought a more utility-based Como as Chimecho gets rid of the hazards there. So really, Riz's team is kind of starting to lose some, starting to get chipped down from this. But he could have Heal Bell. He actually just pivots out into the Scyther, which Scyther is a big threat for this Slowking. I don't know if Cheese wants to stay in here. He might just want to go out into the Diancie at this point, but he could also just go into the Como. It's just that a Wing Beat could probably hurt him. So Riz probably predicts a double here. He does go into the Diancie like we expected, so Riz just wants to get up the Rain again, and Cheese ends up just pivoting out. So Weather Ball doing a considerable amount of damage. Not that much, but we could see a teleport here. So it looks like Cheese actually just wants to keep staying in with his Slowking. He knows that Slowking has a really good matchup here. Fortunately, we do get poisoned, but Cheese looks like he wants to keep up the offensive pressure going into the Como, but Riss being very smart, making sure that Cheese doesn't get enough momentum so that he can start setting up on him. He goes in the Tornadus. We could get a flinch here, and we do not get a flinch, so looks like Cheese is just trying to stall out here a little bit because we know that Riss is toxic. So they're probably going to be both pivoting. I don't know if Slowking has the teleport, but at this point I don't know. I don't think he does, so he just pivots out normally. So we do see a knockoff. Obviously, Cheese going into this Diancie, Riz could have predicted that, but it was better just to get off some damage or maybe just scout this Diancie set a little bit. We see the Mystical Fire, of course, probably predicting the Ferrothorn coming in. Chimecho comes in. It's a bit bulky. That really took nothing, but I'm assuming a Diamond Storm will probably still really hurt this thing. Sorry about the pings, guys. I'm just going to close Discord there so we can listen. And now at this point, Chimecho might just be fodder, but we could see so the Diamond Storm does do a considerable amount of damage, and he does get the boost, which might be a little bit bad for Riss, but he could still go into Swampert regardless after this turn. So Diancie might just want to pick up this kill because he wants to get rid of rocks, but Riss obviously wants to save the Rain for later. So he goes for a big Moonblast there, and setting up the Rain so that Mystical Fire doesn't do as much damage is very nice for Riss. Of course, it's still going to be doing, I'm assuming, like 30-40%, but he doesn't want to stay in here, have to take a Gyro Ball when he can just go into the Como and take a Gyro Ball. He might go for rocks here, honestly. Okay, so he actually just pivots out. Very nice play on Riz's part, and keeping this Tornadus fairly healthy all the time is also really nice. But Cheese bringing Toxic Protect Como is nice for some scouting purposes. We see a Hurricane, which is obviously 100% accurate. Hits the Slowking for a considerable amount of damage, as U-turn is going to bring him down pretty low. Now, if Slowking wants to slack off here, then he definitely can. I think the play is definitely slack off. Otherwise, he just wants to get off a big Scald here, which I don't think is play at all, since Ferrothorn can come back in, or Chimecho probably. Chimecho might have Recover on there. Chimecho is an interesting bring, really. So Chimecho comes back in. We do see the slack off, so that's the correct play on Cheese's part, keeping this Slowking healthy. He does have to swap out, of course, because this Chimecho, I'm just assuming it has Heal Bell, but he just hasn't gone for it yet, really. Otherwise, I don't really know what this Chimecho is going to be doing. With the defog set, he could have something like Parish Song. I don't know if Chimecho gets that really, but anyways, Cheese might just be wanting to go back into the DNC, which could be nice. He does end up doing that, and Riss predicts it very nicely here. And he could just be wanting to go for some hazards. I don't know if Cheese wants to stay in here, but Riss has predicted him a lot lately. So if Cheese does want to stay in here and go for a Mystical Fire, then it could be the play. But Como is always a free switch in, as he is bulletproof to take the Gyro Ball. So there's really no point in not. I would have expected Riss to double again there, but I don't think he wanted to take any more damage with that Dancy. Dancy is a big threat because a lot of Riss's team is very weakened at this point, and not too many. There's not too much you can do. So Riss actually just stays in here and gets up a later hazards. So very nice on his part. We do see obviously, that's a crit, so very unfortunate for Riss there. But we do see that the Torn is obviously boots. A U-turn might be coming out here because you can really pivot out into the Chimecho again. The Scyther is also boots, which I would have expected to violate, but boots makes sense as well because it takes a lot from rocks. Cheese making some safe plays here. He goes in the Slowking again. Could be pivoting out again. Yeah, he goes in the Diancie. So very nice play. He actually gets that play right. If this Torn has Iron Tail, of course, then it probably wasn't the play, but we'll have to see. Now, this is the moment of truth if we want to see the Iron Tail or if we want to just... we just see a U-turn. Okay, makes sense. Riss wants to keep this healthy and not risk like missing an Iron Tail or something like that. So H-Slash is also a big threat at this point in the match. Riss has to go into some offensive pressure here. So if Cheese wants to just King Shield here, maybe scout out what the Scyther wants to do. If Scyther ends up Swords Dancing, it could be a problem for Cheese. Because I don't think the knockoff is the correct play here, unless he just wants to go for it for the sake of scouting. Cheese could also set up as well if he's not toxic King Shield kind of set. If he's sub, it doesn't really make sense in this match. Swampert always comes in, but it's not a bad bring either. I'm just saying, like the Ferrothorn can be very special defensive. It's gotten a lot weaker now, and rocks, of course, are going to be chipping it. Chimecho needs to come in at some point to fog again, which is not what Riss needs right now. Riss needs some more offensive momentum. He needs the momentum enough to get him into Tornadus and potentially start throwing off some hurricanes or something like that. He needs the rain set up again. It's a very rough match for Riss to start bringing this match back. In fact, it's going to be tough in general just to beat Cheese's core because the Leafeon and the Slowking and even this Aegislash are proving to be very difficult to actually get damage off on. For example, Cheese doesn't have to stay in here if he wants to go into Diancie. Scyther is very much walled there, and he kind of has to either predict here or just go for a knockoff. Maybe just get some damage off on Diancie in general, because Diancie getting weakened is very nice for Riss later on in the match. Leafeon still hasn't really revealed anything. He could be the standard Wish, Protect, Heal Bell kind of set. He doesn't exactly need like anything besides Leaf Blade. He could have something to hit that Ferrothorn with, of course. It might even be like a Sunny Day Chlorophyll set, But no, I think if he wants, like, Cheese can also go into his like I said, he could just stay in here. Cheese hasn't revealed the Nidoking coming in at all. Nidoking could be Choice Scarfs for later on in the match. So Riss does end up setting up. They both end up setting up. Kind of expected that at this point because Riss really needs some offensive pressure, and I don't think switching out was the play. So we do see a knockoff just OHKOing this thing. Weakness policy. Cheese might have thought that he could have lived that. Maybe he calced it wrong, and unfortunately that was just a big play for Riss. Getting rid of the Aegislash now at this point opens up a few more doors for Riss later on. Of course, Diancie just comes in here and just revenges, so there's really no point. Getting rid of Scyther, of course, it doesn't make too much of a difference, but it is nice to get rid of something at this point because Cheese traded one of his offensive breakers for one of Riss's miniature offensive breakers, but I think that was okay for Riss on his end. He'll probably take that trade. Um, and of course, Fairthorn has to come in here. He probably has the Okaberry at this point if he's doing this. Um, I don't think Cheese wants to stay in here. He could be bluffing the Okaberry as well, but really, um, at this point, you kind of just want to go all in and get some damage. The thing is that Cheese obviously has a nice switch into the Como, so there could be a bit of head games here. And of course, Risk can't really. He can't overpredict. If he makes the play right now and just goes for like a thunder wave, oh, it looks like Cheese ends up disconnecting. So we have to kind of wait on him to come back. But hopefully his internet's good enough for that. He did join back. Um, we'll have to see what happens here because Cheese doesn't want to overpredict, and if he thinks that Mystical Fire with through the Okaberry is just decent enough damage as it is, he kind of needs this Dancy in a way. It's a nice breaker, but it has done a lot of work already. It's just that um, it kind of takes on things like the Tornadus if Tornadus doesn't have coverage for it. Uh, and it would be interesting if he didn't, but at this point, it kind of looks like he has enough coverage for everything else. So Iron Tail might be his last move um, since he has the fog on this. So again, Swampert is pretty much useless. Um, I really am expecting the Chimecho to have some kind of like heal bell or something like that. Uh, this Dancy is proven to be a big nuisance for Riss, honestly, because he just doesn't have enough swaps. So I think his play has to be Gyro Ball. And of course, Cheese can go into the Como and then predict, of course, and then double back into the Yancy. He actually goes into the Nidoking. So we do see a gigantic Gyro Ball there. I think Cheese is okay with making that move there because I don't think I think he was over predicting, expecting maybe Riss to go into Tornadus. But really, Cheese didn't have to make that play. Like he could have gone into Como and then doubled out later. But he could have expected like a Thunder Wave or like it's just it's definitely rough. That match. Sorry, that turn of events there. Riss, he's doing a good job here. He definitely called that play right, and I think that's what he needed to get back into this match. The Nidoking hasn't been coming in at all, so the fact that Cheese is thinking, oh, it's okay if he takes some damage on this right now, he might think that as long as this gets off some decent damage, like we know that this is probably Okaberry anyways, but if Nidoking could just get a big flamethrower off anyways. Okay, so and it actually does do a ton of damage to this Tornadus, and if Nidoking is scarfed, Cheese just stays in here. The thing is, like, staying locked into Flamethrower, it doesn't make a difference for Cheese anymore because Politoed is at 25%, so he'll drop as soon as he comes in on rocks. Again, is burnt, so he doesn't have to worry too much about anything kind of setting up on him. Cheese, like, the thing is that Cheese just has the offensive momentum here, really. A good play on Cheese's end there as well, like maybe expecting a U-turn. Let's see what he goes for here. He goes for the Protect. It makes sense, obviously, to rack up some more damage there. I think Riz just sacks here because you can't come back in instead of Rain again, so it's better to do that. Torn probably comes in here and starts going for those Hurricanes again. It's definitely rough. I don't think Riss had the matchup for this, and getting his Swampert burned very early on in the match kind of reduced any chances of him trying to return with a Swampert sweep later. So let's see how much this Hurricane does. Does a fair amount of damage, no confusion. Of course, Cheese can slack off here. The thing is that Toxic can be racking up, which I think Cheese is fine with doing because Torn was also going to be chipped down, but Riss makes the right play and U-turning out. Trimecho could come out here. Like, I don't know if it has Heal Bell. I'm just assuming that it does. So I really want to see what it's capable of. If he has like Healing Wish, I think he gets. Okay, so he goes for the recover first. Makes sense. Um, the Sludge Wave doing a lot of damage there. I guess Riss just really wanted to take out the Naking. I was expecting some more utility from this Chimecho because now it just gets sacked off here. Cheese was definitely okay just letting that Naking draw. In comes the Torn, takes a gigantic Moonblast, and the special attack drop. I'm not sure how much is going to matter here. Of course, like, if he wants to land this Iron Tail, if Cheese even wants to stay in here, he doesn't have to. He can go into the Slowking. Risk can obviously U-turn again. It's just that he would have to sack something off. So this is definitely not looking good for Risk. I don't exactly know how he plans to win at this point. There's one more turn left of Rain, and Swampert is burnt. Fairthorn gets walled by the Como. This Torn is poisoned, and to the point where if it wants to switch out, and like, I think Riss has to just sack the Chimecho here. But let's see a U-turn maybe. We do see a Weather Ball. Actually, so I forgot about the Weather Ball tech on Riss's end. Very nice there. So obviously a special attack drop did matter, but Cheese was smart enough not to want to take that anyways. And of course, we do see the Protect on Leafeon, so it was probably something like Heal Bell and Wish and stuff. So it's definitely going to be match at this point. Because Riss just doesn't have any more offensive pressure to beat this Leafeon. He doesn't even go into the Fairthorn first, which I'm curious why not, but Iron Defense. So here we go. So this is probably the play that Riss needed to come back in this match with. It's just with Iron Defense, I still don't think he beats the Slowking. Let's see. So it's definitely doing some damage. And Como drops to a crit there, so definitely a huge crit, Mystical Fire, and then of course Riss Swampert is just weak enough to the point where Moonblast will take this thing out. So that's going to be game. Good game to both opponents, Cheese and Riss. Nice week one round. To start off the season. Congrats to Cheese for picking up the first win of the season. I'm definitely expecting both coaches to continue on in their season and improve for sure. This match, I don't know how much it was rushed, but like they played right after the grace period ended, so I think they just really wanted to get off the week one hype. So thanks again, guys, for joining me for this match, and peace out until the next one.